I'm real happy to have E.W. Vire, retired sheriff from Amherst County. How many years of service did you end up with having? Well over 30, wasn't it?
Right. It was almost 40 within
Yeah.
a month or so from being 40 years.
So you've been law enforcement for 40 years, almost 40 years, and just a great person to work for. I'm really, really happy to get into kind of how you got to where you started, and how you ended your career at the very top. So welcome. And just let's talk a little bit about what it was like growing up, where you grew up, what you remember, and then how you got into your service.
Well, I grew up in the city of Lynchburg. I went to school in Lynchburg.
Okay.
A lot of people thought I went to Amherst because I was out there all the time, for my dad had a business there.
Okay.
But I grew up in the city, worked in the city. As a young child, I hung out. They used to have what they call a private ambulance service. It wasn't run by the city fire department. It was run by a man named Carl Ray Martin. It was Metropolitan Ambulance Service.
And that turned into Lynchburg.
It ended up turning into the fire department. No, it ended up turning into the fire department.
But it was a life-saving crew for a while, correct?
Well, they had a life-saving crew, but they couldn't transport people.
Okay.
The only people could transport was the ambulance service.
Okay.
So you had two different people come to a car wreck. You'd have a rescue squad for removing people from the wreckage and stuff like that, and then you'd have an ambulance service come to transport you.
So you worked on the transport side.
Yeah, I was first started at washing ambulances, just hanging out down there, and it was everybody worked there was retired policemen, and I had some like my idols that I thought a lot of, like Bobby Nash, and really thought a lot of him. And he worked there, George Tomlin, and Ronnie Coleman, a lot of the old guys,
old school guys that kind of ran the city of Lynchburg, really.
Yes.
So how does that transition? So you went to work where? At the sheriff's office in Lynchburg?
I went there in '85. Roy Wainwright, who gave me my job, was the captain of the Lynchburg Sheriff's Department.
Okay.
He talked the sheriff into giving me a job, and I started as a jailer.
Okay.
In 1985.
Okay. And talk a little bit about your career in Lynchburg.
Well, I worked in the jail for about 4 or 5 years, and the sheriff there was a man, I thought of him like a father. He was one of the best men I've met in my life, Lawrence Simpson. Mm-hmm. And he wanted to get into law enforcement, which we wasn't a law enforcement agency. We worked the courts, served summonses, and basically that's what we did in the jail.
So it wasn't a full service.
It was not a
sheriff's
full service sheriff's department. No, it wasn't. And but he wanted to get into a little stuff with the law enforcement side, so he wanted to start a canine program, and we had another guy that tried to get it going but wasn't very successful. He had some bad luck, and then the sheriff gave me an opportunity to do it, and I was pretty glad it went through real well.
I remember your dog. Big old Greif, right?
That was one of them. That was the last one I had in the city. It was the best dog I probably ever had in my life.
Any good Greif stories? I know you told me one about that took you into Amherst County where you actually, didn't you find a weapon or something, or what did you find?
I mean, just lots of things. I remember, as a dog handler, you know everything, and the dog don't know nothing, But I know I went to an armed robbery one night where a cab driver was shot, and he was stabbed, and he shot the assailant.
Okay.
And the guy bailed out and ran. And when I got there, the dog got at the police car, and he was very aggressive towards Siren. He heard Siren. He knew he was going to work. He really wanted to go to work, and he was a great tracking dog and a drug dog. And we started tracking. I remember he was going down the street, and all the media was there. There was a lot of cameras and everything. And the first thing you're supposed to do when you get to a scene somewhere is give your dog a break. Because if you don't, you're going to be embarrassed.
Right.
And I got embarrassed. He didn't take a break, but he started to go to the woods to take a break. And I, under my breath, I went, "Nine," which was no. And the dog, he just went back, and he basically like laid back like, I'm sorry, Dad, what did I do wrong? And he didn't track worth a dime. It was awful. It was really awful. And I remember Commander Dave Scalf was there on the scene, and he said, "E.W., I don't know which way the guy went." Nobody did,
Right.
But he said, "I just don't think he went this way." And I said, "I don't know. He's not doing very well." He said, "Well, go back and do it again and try it again." So I went back to the same area where the guy got out of the cab. And this time I didn't say anything, and the dog took off and down the street and went to the same area and broke to the left and went down there. I don't know, it was 100 yards or so down there, this tall brush. There's a guy laying there. The dog took me to it. I did several. I had several.
So you learned a lot.
I learned a lot to trust your dog. Yes.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing as a canine handler is there are a lot of people that won't take their dogs out of the car because they don't want them to fail.
Yes.
But like you were willing to put them in that position to fail.
Oh, I had to
and
learn.
You
I
learned
learned the hard way. I learned a lot of stuff from him. I mean, I told people when I taught the academy sometimes, I used to tell them stories and people couldn't believe you tell on yourself, but how do you make a good police officer?
Learn from somebody else's mistakes and don't make them yourself.
And they'll tell the truth and stuff. I remember on a drug search one night, the dog had found drugs in a lot of places all over this house. And there was a little room, probably wasn't about 15 by 15. I remember it was a recliner chair sitting there. It was a stand-up vacuum cleaner, a TV, 4-mile, the old TVs. And I remember it was one of them little RC occupant, little toys, trucks, little truck, RC trucks. And the dog went in, and they said, well, you just run all the rooms, EW, for me. And we done found all the dope. I didn't need to do much. That's going in, zook it out. He runs in, he grabs a vacuum cleaner and starts throwing it around. I said, "Nine, leave it alone." I walked out the room, and the investigator was Bill Dance back then.
Okay.
And he was vice. I'll never forget it. And he comes in there and pulls the bag out of the vacuum cleaner and shows it to me. I thought,
got me again. It's a humbling experience to work a dog. It really is.
Oh, that was the most rewarding thing I ever did. If I wouldn't have got old,
you still been running.
I would have stayed there. I had no idea I was going to be sheriff. Didn't have any admonitions to be the sheriff. I didn't want to.
So you work in Lynchburg. Let's run through that a little bit. So your career, you probably, when did you go? Did you go through the law enforcement academy with the sheriff's office?
Yes, I did.
Is that before or after you got your dog?
Oh, I did that way before.
Okay.
No, I did it after the dog.
Okay, so you get a dog. You'd gone through then you had to go through the academy.
Yes.
For law enforcement.
Yes, 2000.
And then you get out on the street.
Yes.
Talk a little bit. Like I don't think people appreciate with all the technology and everything else that we have, like the work that people like you, Ronnie Coleman, all the people that were on the TAC team and everything else did with very little technology. It was a lot of knowledge of the city, knowledge of tactics and things like that. I don't think people realize that didn't they shoot somebody at Heritage High School?
Yes, the
sniper did.
Yeah, the sniper
and
killed a guy.
I don't think
he had a gun to another police officer's head.
Yeah.
And they had to kill him. And I wasn't on the TAC team then. I wasn't there that night with it.
But I mean, that's the kind of stuff that these guys dealt with. They didn't talk about it, but they are the reason that I think things have gotten so much better.
People don't realize the training it goes into be a policeman, and then especially on the special ops and all the other things, K9s and all the investigations, all that stuff. And there's so much training there, and it's mandated stuff, and it's just you have people in school more than you do on the street.
Yes.
To be honest with you.
Yeah. And so talk a little bit about the time in Lynchburg, working with the special operations guys. What was that like?
Well, Commander Shockley and C.T. Carter was my hero. They're the ones that asked me to come be a part of the TAC team with them guys back then. And that was the only ones that ever done it. And it was such an honor to be with those guys. It really was. And we would train, and of course they would shoot a lot. They shot a lot, and of course they made me shoot with them. And I never was a shot. They were great shots. They were.
That's why you had a dog.
Well, that's what it said. The dog. That was the only reason I was on the TAC team, because the dog. There's no question about it. But I remember we going in places, and the dog. We had a guy we was looking for murder one night, and the street unit saw the guy and put a perimeter on the house up at 11th and Wise, and the TAC team shot gas in the house and done the
call outs and stuff.
Yeah, call out and everything. Plus they flash banged it, whatever. And they went in and they couldn't find the guy in the house. And of course they asking everybody, "Are you sure you kept a good eye on the house or whatever?" And he said yes. And I'll never forget it. CT, I always was in the stack. I never went in. I was at the back because the dog was going to try to get everybody.
He would eat everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. And so he asked me to bring a dog in. He said, "We can't find him." And the guy, they're swearing he ain't come out this house. He's in the house somewhere. And I sent the dog in, and the dog cleared the upstairs area. And then he goes down to these old houses back in the old days had coal bins where trucks would back up, but the coal truck would back up and shoot coal in it. And they had a furnace in the house. And when the dog went down the steps, and there was a platform then turned and goes this way. And when the dog went down, I seen the dog, he'd go like it. And I told him, I said, "He's in the basement." And he said, "How do you know?" I said, "I can read my dog. I
Right.
can read him. I mean, I
Right.
can read him, you know." And it wasn't in the basement area, but a few seconds, and I heard him just whining and barking, making a noise and barking. He said, "What's the matter with him?" I said, "He can't get to him." And so, of course, they took a bunker guys and they went in the basement, and they found a gun. It was 44 Magnum laying up under the steps, and they went down there. And when he was in a coal bin. He was hiding in a coal bin.
So he couldn't
He couldn't get to him.
the dog couldn't get to him.
Yes, and so anyway, they opened the coal bin up, and he was yelling for the guy to come out, and he wouldn't come out. And of course, we tried to. He kicked the door shut, where the dog couldn't get to him, and then he goes out the back, and the dog falls over in the coal bin down in the deep down there, so he couldn't get out to go get him. And the guys on the outside caught him when he ran out the basement, to get out of there.
But you had to still get your dog out, didn't you?
Yeah, I had to go get him out of that. Yeah, but they was just ecstatic that that the dog had
Turned
found
out the
him.
way it did. Nobody got shot.
Oh
Nobody
yeah.
got hurt.
Oh, we had another one. We had another one barricaded in the house, and we sent him in. And he first thing he went, it was a real nice place. First thing he did is went into the big room where Rug was and marked his place there.
They did. He said Grafe was here.
Yeah, and basically went in and got up in the bathroom, was barking and carrying on, and they found this guy hiding up in the towel closet, up in the closet. It's just amazing.
So where did you go? You didn't train around here for your dog.
No, I
Where'd you
went
go?
to Portsmouth and trained at Portsmouth Police Academy. I've been here probably 6 or 7 different times, like the 12-week schools. And the last school I went to was M.V. Moore, was a retired trooper who was very knowledgeable too.
Probably one of the best.
One of the best.
Him
Yes.
and Ben Bennett both.
Ben Bennett. No, Ben Bennett is the best. I think he is the best.
He's the
Yes,
godfather.
yes.
So
But he trained the guy that trained me too, was a guy named Rick Humphreys.
okay. I remember. So, and I think what's really cool about that lineage is a lot of those guys went on to train the dogs that went to the SEAL teams.
Yeah, they went to most everybody. Kevin Keelan, all those guys, Mo Joseph, they went to Blackwater. And
Ultimately, ended
and
up
one of the
training.
guys that used to be in K9 in Chesapeake, I think he ended up owning one of those companies. I don't know which.
But
one.
they were on cutting edge on the war on terror and everything else.
Absolutely.
They had these dogs.
Absolutely.
So
Yes,
I think it's a really cool transition.
it was.
So talk about, you leave Lynchburg, you decide, hey, I want to go out to
I
the
went through a
county.
divorce. Yeah, I was going through a divorce. My kids went to school there,
Yeah.
and I fought for the custody of them, and I had the physical custody of both of them, and so I wanted to be there at the schools. And at the time, the sheriff had reached out to me and asked me would I come out there and meet him, and I met him one day, and he offered me the job. And that's how it started.
So Amherst, though, you grew, you kind of grew up
right
there.
there. I grew up
Everybody, I don't think there's anybody I've ever run into in Amherst County that didn't know E.W. Byer.
Well, I did know a lot of people there. I was really fortunate. I have a lot of friends there. Very
Yeah.
fortunate. It's home to me. Even though I went to school in the city, I never dated the girl from Glass. Everybody I did.
Went after the Amherst girl.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So as you transitioned, you kind of had your career there at Amherst. You ended up as an investigator, correct?
Yes.
Right before you ran for sheriff. Anything that stands out? I know you actually called me on a case. People don't think about the small crimes that lead into bigger crimes, but do you remember the one that you worked at a Walmart that
Guy stole $10,000 worth of stuff. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That was. I was just back then. I wasn't an investigator.
Right.
I was just I was a canine handler, just taking a report and going in. And to be honest with you, I received a call. A guy one day told me, he said, "Hey man, I seen this guy walk out with a TV set and put it in his car." And then, I watched him. He's looking around like, is anybody watching me? And he says he goes back in. He comes right back up with a lawnmower and a box. And he puts the lawnmower in his car and he left. I said, so I went into Walmart and talked to the loss prevention people, asked them to go back and look and see if they seen anything on the video. And of course he did. And so I ended up working that case. It was a pawn shop then right up the street from Walmart. And I went up there and talked to them, and a guy had come in there. And he bought some things, and I kept going back and forth to Walmart and another pawn shop in Lynchburg. And it turns out that in Walmart found me all kind of footage where this guy was a heroin addict, and he stole over $10,000 worth of stuff in the last month. I mean, trolling motors for boats. I forgot how many laptop computers. I mean, he stole everything he could steal.
But it's just the little things getting to the bigger
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
He just worked it all the way through.
You got to know how to talk to people.
So talk a little bit about what it was like to run for sheriff in the county you grew up in and everybody knew you. Like, what did you think the key to your campaign when you ran for sheriff? Because you ran in a contested race. There was how many people ran when you ran?
It was 3 one time. I think it was 3 or either 4. I know it was 3. It was a highly contested case. A lot of people.
I mean, but so you had to run a campaign and you had to get
I had
out
people
there.
to really help me. I had a girl, a lady to help me, and she was, at the time, she was really good at that. She really devoted her time to help me get in there. She did a good job. And then this last time with the girl was excellent.
Yeah. And so talk a little bit. So you were sheriff for 8 years, correct?
Yes, 2 terms.
2 terms. So first day in office in 2016, correct?
Mm-hmm.
What was it like coming in there after you win the election and you come in there and you realize I'm in charge of all this?
It's gut wrenching. I mean, it didn't start that day. It started really the day after the election. You know you'd won, and you had so many things that you wanted to do better. You wanted to feel like you wanted to make the place better. And one of the biggest things I really wanted to do was get us accredited. I felt like that was a real important thing to the department. It made everybody on the same page, and you wasn't like Barney and Andy. You know what I'm saying? You could do things the right way. And
so you were in the sheriff's department for how many years were you there before you?
I came in 2000.
So you were there for 16 years at that point, correct? Mm-hmm. How many years of that 16 years had they tried to be accredited?
I was told they tried the whole time to do that, and as I know how hard you worked to help me get that. It's a hard thing to do. You don't call somebody up and say you're gonna get accredited and you're gonna be accredited. You gotta show that you show all these proofs, and I was behind that. I didn't know anything about that stuff. I didn't know anything. I was just hiring people and hoping they would do the right thing and do what was supposed to be done to get us accredited. And it turns out that after the first term, when I didn't get accredited, we didn't even apply then. We hadn't applied because when the people would come look at it, they said you're not
anywhere close.
We're close. And then,
so what was it like that first term? As far as you have all these things that you want to get done, what was that like as a sheriff to be like, hey, I want to get this done? What was the hardest part during that time frame that you felt like, man, I wish that I had this?
Well, getting resources and getting people just dedicated to what you want, your vision.
Okay.
Really.
So what was your vision? Those 8 years, what were your vision?
I was getting up in age. I mean, I knew I wasn't going to work 70 years old. I wanted to get out. I already worked past all my Leo's money. I never got any of that. But I'm good with that. But I wanted, my integrity was something. I promised the people I'd get the accreditation, and I wanted that.
Okay.
And even you, your dedication to that, you helped me, and you really was a big part of that.
Yeah, but
you and Andrew and all of it. Yeah, you and Andrew and all of it.
It starts at the top, and you had to make that decision. And
well, it was hard. A lot of times it was real hard.
It's
manpower, getting resources. You got to have people designated to do certain things, and it pulls away from one thing to get the other thing done. It's hard. It really is hard.
Well, I think too, you have people pulling the opposite direction.
You had people that didn't want me to get it.
Mm-hmm.
You really did. You had people that didn't want me to get it.
And I think you see that now that you've left.
Oh, I can see it. Absolutely. They didn't want me to get it because
it made them look bad.
Yeah, it made them look bad. And it wasn't about me. The accreditation is not about me.
No, it doesn't say EW.
Right. It's not about
Amherst
me.
County
It was
Sheriff.
about the betterment of the department. It wasn't anything to make me look good. I don't need to look good.
So any cases that stand out to you your first 4 years?
I know we did a lot of drug stuff. We did a lot. We were probably top in the area for us drugs. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people, of course, social media, especially running for sheriff, it wasn't any social media for that. You know what I'm saying? Everything in social media is a big, big thing now. It can hurt you. It can help you.
Right.
But it's it's something we didn't have to worry about in my earlier part of my career. We didn't have all that.
Yeah, you just put a press release out.
Right, right. You know, we didn't have, you know, somebody showing up at a scene of a homicide and trying to film stuff right there and ask you questions that they know you can't answer, well, you shouldn't answer.
Right. So, like, you were one of the more hands-on sheriffs that I've ever worked for. What is it like to be a sheriff in a small town, a smaller area? Like, people calling you all the time?
Yes. Well, you know, I remember one Valentine's Day, I was going to get a Valentine's card from my girlfriend, and my daughter called and said, "Daddy, where are you at?" And I went to Walmart, which is 4 minutes from my house. I was in there for 2 hours. I couldn't get out of there. My kids, they didn't want to go to stores with me.
Okay.
You know, and that's part of the job. People didn't realize that. Even my fiance, you know, we was at a graduation one time, and it was one of her siblings were graduating, and it was an important time to them. You know what I mean? It was a real important time. It wasn't about me. It was about them. And someone walked up and wanted to ask me questions about something, and went on in and kept on going, and she got kind of fretted. Don't these people realize you're off? You're never off. Mm-mm. When you're the sheriff, you're never off.
Right.
You're never off.
Right.
And that was a hard thing for her to realize. You know, it caused a whole lot of stress between us. But
because you didn't, I think what you had told me before is during those 8 years, you really didn't take a vacation.
No, I mean, we used to go to Bike Week every year just to get away.
Right.
The last time I went was the year I won. Well, 15. I went in 16. I went in October of 16.
And never went again.
Never,
did you go when you retired?
Yeah, I hadn't been to Bike Week anymore. We've been traveling. She took me on a cruise. She took me on a cruise. My first
Got
cruise.
you on a boat, huh?
Yeah, and it took me, and that was a big trip. And matter of fact, she's booked another one for me this year. We're going in February again. So
you liked it?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I really did. I caught COVID. I caught COVID on the 4th day and didn't know I had it.
Right.
You know, just felt bad. And it rained on us every time we had a excursion. Like she had planned a nice sailboat ride across the Caribbean and stuff. You know, out there in San Juan, or whatever the name of the town was, St. Martin's.
Okay.
But yeah, it was fun, and I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
You don't get much time to relax.
So, yeah, vacation is not something there. You had several catastrophic events. Just talk about what it's like to be a sheriff in a small town. You have all the pressures of people coming to you and talking to you and giving you information and everything else. What is it like when you get that phone call that says one of your officers has been shot?
I hate it.
I know. What was it like for you?
Rough.
Okay.
11:30. I think the first one was the Meta,
Mm-hmm.
and he was shot in the head, and I got there before the ambulances even moved him.
Yeah.
I was there that night. I got dressed and was there before they moved him, and pulled up. And of course, he's bleeding profusely from his head. And of course, I don't know if he's gonna make it, to be honest with you. And I jumped in the patrol car. I talked to the other 2 deputies there. It was several of them. There was 3 deputies, 2 deputies there, and a town officer were there. Mm-hmm. And everybody's kind of, you know, in shock. Yeah, everybody's, it's all messed up. And I go to his house and get his wife up, and they had a small child at the time, just a baby, and I remember she's very young too. And I drove her to the hospital, probably scared to death. I know I did. I ain't probably to it, I was scared to death, and got out of there and went in the room. And like I said, I wanted her to have time with him. It wasn't about me being there with him, so I went out. And of course, I'm going back to the scene and see what's going on there. And learned later on he got out that night, which was a miracle. By the grace of God, he got out. You know, that night he was just a blessing.
Yeah,
he's tough. He is tough. He's a great police officer. He really is. And his mental toughness got him through it. I mean, he was on the radio leading his troops that night, just like if he wasn't even shot. It was just amazing, you know, that he could do that. But that was the first one, and of course we had some other ones too.
But the one thing that I think people don't realize is, I think people talk about when a president has to sign an order to send people into harm's way. But when you assume the role of a sheriff, you're doing that every day.
Every day. Well, it's the same as any of them, not only the tactical officers, but tactical officers have
But you're putting your deputies that
in high risk situations all the time. The day you put your uniform and get in that patrol car, you don't know if you're coming home that night.
But what I'd like you to talk about more than anything is what is it like to be at the very top and have to look at the wife of somebody that just been shot as the sheriff.
You don't know what to tell them. You really don't. You pray a lot.
Yeah.
You pray a lot.
But I mean, what goes through your mind? I feel like there'd be so many different things that go through your mind.
I tell you what,
I feel like you have survivor's guilt. You have all the guilt of
you do. You know, you're saying I'm sorry. And it's not your. They're saying it's not your fault, Sheriff. But you feel like it is because you sent them there. You give them a job to do, and they work for you.
Right.
You know, but it is gut wrenching. It's really gut wrenching. It's people don't realize the stress levels you have on you. They don't have any idea. You know,
well, talk about
you
that.
cut grass, you cut your grass, and you say, well, you got other people in the department. You're the sheriff. Yeah. The majors and all of them are wonderful people.
Right.
But the sheriff is the one that all, when things go bad, they don't say the major's name. It's always the sheriff.
Right.
And when I used to cut my grass, I remember I have a phone laying in my zero turn right here laying when I cut the grass. I had to look at it every so often because you couldn't hear it from the motor.
Right.
Because if you got a SWAT call and you got situations, they got to make decisions and they got to call you and ask that. When you go to church, everything, you had to get up and walk out of church. Hospital, doctors, whatever, you're there. You still have to have that phone with you. I did away with my home phone as soon as I retired. I did away with it.
Good for you.
I did away with it. I didn't need it anymore. I just got a cell phone. My immediate family and close friends still have my number. They can call me. But I don't keep up with the social media of the sheriff's department. When I left, it's done. I don't follow them. I don't wish them no harm. I still think a lot of the people that work for me, although wasn't many left. Mm-hmm. But I don't keep up with it. It's their show. They can do it the way they want to do it. And,
So one of the cases that I would like you just to talk about, because I feel like there's been a lot of media attention about it. You got blamed for a lot of stuff that you had nothing to do with. You had employees that made mistakes, and you have to own those mistakes. Yep. But I remember having a conversation with you a couple years before you retired, and you're like, this case, I can't get rid of it.
I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, I can't get rid of it.
It haunted me. This is 11 90-some-year-old ladies laying in the bed asleep.
Right.
Ain't bothering anybody.
Yeah.
And her daughter sitting in another room reading a book, good Christian type people. And I'm not using religion, but they were good people.
Yes.
And somebody goes up to the window and shoots through the window and kills the old lady, the 90-some-year-old, and then shoots the daughter for nothing.
Right.
Of course, that
so you got a phone call for that?
Oh, yeah, I was there. I went to every one. Mm-hmm. Every single homicide, I was there, each one of them.
I think you were there for any major
anything there, I was there. And, of course, we worked, investigators. We had a good team, and they worked hard to we didn't have any clues. We didn't have nothing. We started out with nothing. And
which I think is pretty incredible in and of itself.
Yeah, always to get it solved, right? And then what happened. And then, of course, the Commonwealth attorney got blamed for a lot of stuff that he had nothing to do with. And that was more of a vendetta of them against me, and they going after him because he's my father-in-law. I'm his father-in-law,
right.
And that's all that was. And
but what does it feel like when you know the truth for all those years?
And I had people calling me, news agencies. I had the guy that does the podcast. He wanted to talk about it, and we have ethics. I can't talk about it,
right?
And so does the Commonwealth attorney,
right?
And the reason you can't talk about it because you don't want to. First of all, I didn't want the trial moved there to Amherst County. With all this stuff, they're running a campaign and they're talking all this stuff about the crime scene and everything. They didn't know anything about it because the stuff they were reporting was not true.
Right. And the people they were blaming.
Yeah, it wasn't true. You see, it came out. By the grace of God, they convicted the boy. Amherst people convicted this boy, and I didn't watch the trial. I didn't go up there. I didn't stay with it. But I did set my mind. I wanted somebody on the case to go at it a different way to to try to fix what that person had messed up.
So you had accomplished your mission of getting accredited, but this case haunted you.
Oh, it was something I went to my grave. It would have killed me. It really worries me all the time.
But what is it like to be in a room and you have to make that decision as a sheriff to say, I am going to commit the resources. That's a huge risk as a sheriff. It's a huge risk to say, I'm going to commit the resources to fix this. First, you had to own your mistake that your people made.
But I couldn't tell anything about it then. I couldn't say anything about it.
Right.
And so, it was haunting. I remember going to see the victim in the hospital. I drove over to see her, and checked on her, and I really care about her. Still do. They're wonderful people. They're wonderful. Of course they're mad at me. They're mad at everybody there. But I couldn't. How do you go to a scene and say you didn't pick a gun up? How do you do that? I mean, it's A, B, and C's the police work. I mean, how do you do that? But it happened. I didn't do it. I didn't either. I know you didn't do it. I know you didn't do it.
But at the end of the day,
but by the grace of God, the truth came out, and the citizens of Amherst seen the evidence there and was able to convict this monster. He's a monster.
I think the crazy thing about it, and obviously we both are extremely biased towards the Commonwealth Attorney's Office, but I think the thing that I look at is, where else would you have a case where you have two sworn police officers who testify in a case and that are not believable, and they still won the case?
I know the Commonwealth Attorney did what he's supposed to do. And that was all about me. They're going after him because of me. That's the only reason that is. That's what I don't like. He's doing a great job. He is. He cares. He's a real good, loving man. The kid loves his family and does what he's supposed to do. And Amber does too.
Yeah, and they shouldered a heavy burden by having people run a campaign first against you, saying that you didn't know what you were doing, and all your people made all these mistakes. However, on the other side, then they blame your relationship and other relationships for the reason the case got messed up, and really drove a wedge between you and the family.
Oh yeah,
and the Commonwealth Attorney's Office and the family. And the reality is, you owned your mistake. The Commonwealth Attorney did the best they could with what they had. And they won. Even now, after all the screw ups, you found an investigator that worked it.
When I hired Chris Persons, a retired Hampton police officer, I tell you what, that was God sent to me. What it was. He very knowledgeable. He worked time in it, and him and Jordan both worked on that case a lot. And
that's Jordan Cendrick, who was on the show.
Greg Jones and Clay, their boss. So Clay, all of them, they worked tirelessly on that case to try to get this thing fixed right. And by the grace of God, we were able to do that and get a conclusion where we can convict him.
Yeah, and like I said, I think the thing that I look at is, despite all the negative that your successor
I wanted to say a lot of things. I wanted to say a lot of things a long time, and I've always been very vocal, but I had to bite my tongue, and I had a lot of old sheriffs that I really admired a lot and still respect them a lot, retired. And Mike Brown was one. I mean, you got to take the heat, boss, and just take it, and it'll come out in the end, and the truth will prevail. And that's
what after everything's said and done, what do you think the truth is? Like, what do you want to put out there of like what happened at that scene, and ultimately what happened on his conviction?
What happened at the scene was somebody picked the weapon, not at the scene, but at the search warrant. Somebody picked that gun up that day. And of course, we all were ecstatic that they found. That's what we were looking for.
Right.
Was the gun. We was at two different places. I was at the other house with the state police, and we picked the gun up. And the person that picked the gun up says he didn't pick the gun up. and I mean, how can I change that?
You can't.
I can't.
You can't.
I can't. But I had to sat there and eat it for several years that, I got the blame for it and stuff like that, which I'm not about who gets the blame. I'm not worried about that. I'm done with it. It's just.
Yeah, but my question to you is this, is I feel like I remember, we won't mention the news agency, but you told me you didn't
absolutely.
care for them, and I didn't
Most
understand
liberal
why.
bunch I've ever seen. I tell you right now, if when I watch the news, I watch.
Anybody but them.
Yes, I watch Channel 7. I watch Channel 7. That's all I say. Channel 7 is a great, and Channel 10, they're great news.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never seen anything like it. I just.
So what was the hardest about that when you look at, like, I think a lot of people are like, hey, the media doesn't do this, the media doesn't do this, but you actually experienced it. What does it feel like for them
media
to
puts out what they want to put out about people, and to me, you ought to have facts before you do that. You should have facts in case, not just what somebody said, and you should research what you're doing and know what you're talking about before you put out things, because you can ruin a person's reputation in the community and stuff like that. And I think if some people would hold them accountable for that and start suing them, you'd stop that. You really would. But I don't know. I just don't know.
I just think, like, for me, when I think about the media, I think it should be an unbiased fact.
It should be factual. It should be facts, right?
And if you mess up,
own it.
Own it.
Yeah.
You had to own it. When do you think they're going to own the fact that what they report on for the last 2 or 3 years is wrong?
I don't watch them, so I don't know. I don't know what they do anymore. I just.
Well, they haven't said what you said.
No, I'm just telling you. I don't watch them. I just. I'll go to relatives' house and I'll be up there and they'll turn that. And I'll tell them to turn that off. I'm not gonna watch it. It's just. And everybody in my family and most friends, pretty much feel the same about them. It's the same with politics. Politics can ruin a lot of. I'm not a politician.
Right.
I'm not a politician, and I didn't get in anybody's pocket.
Yeah.
I didn't. I didn't get in anybody's pocket. I can't say that about other people.
Yeah.
I wasn't in anybody's pocket. If somebody big got stopped for drunk driving, they got arrested. They got locked up.
Mm-hmm.
I had relatives to get speeding
I was
tickets.
Say you had family members.
I had family members got speeding tickets. I had family members got locked up. Mm-hmm. That didn't change a thing.
No.
You know, I mean, that's the way it is. You know, and I never called one of my deputies and told them to get rid of a summons or anything. I never did that. And unfortunately, I had people that said they voted for me and gave me money for contributions, and I said, "You wanted me to do my job, didn't you?" And
so you think, based on your experience with law enforcement and running as the sheriff, you do have those people that give money and then expect something in return later?
Oh, absolutely.
I just think the hardest.
I had companies that gave me money. These person's dead and gone, and I loved him like a friend. But he didn't want anything for it. He didn't ask for nothing. But
But some people do.
Yeah.
There's an expectation. So talk a little bit about what it's like when you walked out of the office for the last time at the sheriff's office. What was that like for you? I felt like it almost was like you felt like you'd gained wings and you were ready to fly out of there.
Well, it felt good, but it was different too. I worked my whole life.
Okay.
That was my life. I had 40 years of working. I worked other jobs, peddling with my uncles and contractors and stuff, but I'm talking about a job to support my family and whatever. I did that my whole life, basically. So it was kind of, scary, I guess, if you want to call it. What am I going to do tomorrow? I ain't got to have a police car. I had a police car in my yard for years, you know what I mean? And now I don't. But it was a relief, though. I could lay down and not worry about the phone. I used to hate the phone to ring.
Because you knew something bad had happened.
Something bad had happened. When the phone rang at your house at late at night, it was somebody's hurt, somebody's dead, or somebody's been hurt seriously or whatever, or one of your people's hurt.
Yeah. So, as a sheriff, as you go through that, I just think it'd just be extremely difficult to be the one that is ultimately responsible for all that. And it had to be a relief not to have that responsibility.
It was. I'm very fortunate that I felt like good friends with all the sheriffs in the area. We were all very close, and the chiefs too. And we worked with everybody and got along with everybody. I thought that was a big part of everything, as far as I could reach out and call somebody, and I'd have resources coming from everywhere. And the
Right.
state police was just absolutely incredible too. They always there for me and anything I needed.
So what do you think at the end of your 8 years, what would you say your legacy was at the sheriff's office in Amherst? You got it accredited. What else do you think there was for you?
That's a big question, Juette. I mean, the accreditation was the top of my list. I remember the night I got it, and the board was recognized us, and then people from the agency was there to give us accreditation. And you were there.
Yeah, Vallepsi.
Yeah, Vallepsi. And you were there too. And I told Eric that night, I said, "This is it for me, buddy." And he said, "What do you mean?" I said, "This is what I promised I'd get done, and this is what I set my goal." "Oh, no, you're going to run again." I said, "No, I'm not."
Yeah.
I didn't leave because anybody beat me. I think I could have beat any of them.
I think you go back and win.
I know, but I just didn't want that.
Well,
I was done.
Why would you? You've
I'm
given your
done.
service.
I'm done. I did what I wanted to do, and by the grace of God, I got the opportunity to serve as sheriff. I'm very lucky, humble,
Yeah.
tickled to death.
Just happy it's over.
Absolutely.
So let's go back a little bit. There's a couple things I'd like to cover with you. I'm biased, obviously, but what about your canine program? I felt like you
we had a great program, and I really was. Of course, I was a former canine handler, so I was pro canine anyway.
Right.
And we had a lot of dogs, and we had one for every shift, and a lot of times we were going to other agencies helping them all the time, and I was. Canines are a very important tool to a police department and a sheriff's department. They really are. I mean, they can do everything.
They really can. They're a force.
Yeah, multiplier. I mean, when I was trained the first time, I remember the guy was telling me, he said a dog, if he could talk, he could tell you when you cook chicken, you walk into your house at nighttime, he could tell you having chicken, it's going to have garlic, salt, butter, and all this stuff in the chicken if they could talk. Their noses are that good.
Right.
It's just amazing. And I remember on calls where people were trying to disguise drugs with mothballs. I've had axle grease packed in kilos of cocaine the dog found. It's just amazing. Coffee. You can't fool them like that. But
Right.
they're human. They're like human too. They feel bad some days, and they make
Right.
mistakes too.
They don't always. It's not always an on day.
No.
It always seems like the off days are on the days you have to certify though.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. I used to be. I remember one of those days too. I shouldn't tell them myself, but it was,
Go ahead.
It was the first one. I was down in Portsmouth, and this dog was just exceptionally good. And I walked into a room, and the guy had wrote on a chalkboard. He knew I was nervous as crap, He wrote on the wall, "There's no drugs in this room," or something in one room. And I went in, and the dog's in the running room, and I done got him pinpoint checking everything, and the dog wouldn't find anything, and he got to call it. You got to call it blank. And that's a big thing to say, blank, because if you miss something,
you're like, oh,
you're gone,
Yeah,
So,
you got to start over.
I said, it's nothing in this room. So we go to the next room, and we run the thing and it's old school, so it's abandoned. So it's no furniture in it and whatever. It's a desk there. It's a sink on the wall. The old schools had sinks on the wall, like the kids would wash their hand,
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a Coke can sitting on the sink there, and we'd run the room, and I'm standing there with him. He said, "What do you say about this room?" And I says, "I don't think it's nothing in here. I don't think it's nothing." And the dog's jerking me to the can. I said, "It's in the can." He said, "You lucky."
You're lucky.
He said, "You lucky. You trust your dog and you wash your dog." And but it was just, it's just amazing the things I learned with that dog. And my God, he was just exceptional. He was a good one.
So, talk about your last crazy dog. I'm gonna give you.
Oh,
I'm gonna
God,
give you an intro to this. Full disclosure: we went to you brought the guy that trained that dog came up here and did a seminar, and I think we sent 4 people to the ER.
Yeah.
My dog bit somebody through the hand. Somebody else's dog bit a leg or something. We had four ER visits, and I distinctly remember the instructor saying, the guy in the bite suit, which was me for your dog.
Yeah, that was
which
you.
your dog was like a spring.
Yeah, he was a Tasmanian devil.
Yes.
He was me.
Yeah, I remember. And the instructions were, handler, stand still. The decoy will walk into you. So it was a bite on the chest.
Yeah,
It was a
right
chest
there,
bite.
right there.
And that dog bit me
Right there at the top.
At the top of the neck, his nose. And you were so excited.
I was laughing so hard at you.
You were like, I was like, get him off of me. Get him off of me. And you were just laughing. And you were,
I'll never forget that either. Matter of fact, it's a video somewhere of that.
I know, because I remember you squealing like, he's an ass eater. He's an ass eater. And I was like, you need to get him off of me. I can feel his wet nose. He's going to detach anytime and going to bite me in the neck.
That dog, he told me, he said, I had him right there. People didn't realize what you have to do to train these dogs. They think you're mean. You're not. You have to.
You're surviving.
Right. You
let him win
you
let
the
once.
dog rule you. He gonna rule you. He gonna eat you up. And this dog was down in the same seminar, and I ain't gonna say the word, but he said that dog's gonna F you up. And I had him up by the thing right here, and he's looking right in the face me like, and I'm trying to tell him I'm gonna kill you if you don't listen to me, you know. And but that was the hardest dog I ever had in my life. He was bad.
He was bad. He was an eater.
Right there, he was bad. But he wanted to get, apprehension so bad that he'd run past the track where the other one was just so good. He was just.
I think they always say that you have one dog that you really have. And I know Hammer was that for me in Bedford. Yeah. Like every other dog I've had then I enjoyed. But that one right there. You
compare them too much to it.
Yeah, because it's like a car. It's like your favorite car.
That's right.
So talk a little bit about that. I know that's something that you really enjoy talking about. So now that you've retired, talk about what your days look like.
I built me a nice man cave shop. I have a shop, but I built another big one right beside it. And
But when people talk about building stuff, they don't know E.W. Veyer's version of building stuff. When you build stuff, you do it all yourself, and you do it top of the level.
Well, I try to. I have people do machine work.
I've seen the pictures.
I've had guys do machine work and stuff like that. And I let a guy put a motor together for me recently, just what they call a long block, and I've been messing with it now. I bought a truck just to have an extra one. I didn't need it, but I had to have something to do.
Was it white?
Yeah, everything. All my family people. Always talk to me about that. Even my daughters, my sons, my sisters, my brothers, everybody's, their vehicles are white. It's crazy.
I've never.
It's crazy. And my hot rod, my show car is blue.
Right.
And my motorcycle's orange and stuff like that. And Shannon's her vehicle's maroon. She says she definitely don't want a white one.
She's not getting a white one.
No, but I don't know what it is. It's just. Really, it's probably about 20 different vehicles. All of us, they're white. It's crazy.
So talk about what is it like while you're trying to be a sheriff, trying to build your own garage and getting it to the way you wanted? What was that like for you?
Shannon tells me I'm OCD. She says, I set my mind saying I can't stop.
Okay.
Even when we was building the garage, I went home because it was just one of them old prefab metal buildings, and I went in and studied it and insulated it and put.
You put some beautiful wood.
Oh, I did. I put some rough cut. I had a friend who owns a sawmill. I put rough cut sawmill board in to make it look nice. Because I stare at that. My girl works night shift.
And so do you working on your cars.
Well, when I stare at that in the garage all day. When she comes in the morning, she's going to bed.
Right.
She's gonna sleep all day.
Okay.
And so, if I'm in the house, you can hear the hardwood floors creaking, all that stuff. So I stay in the shop all day. I go right there and I stay all day long. And I had several good friends of sheriffs. They asked me to come to work for them when I retired. Come be a resource officer, whatever. I said, man, I ain't giving up the top seat to go be a resource officer. Nothing against them. I'm done.
No, so how close did you finish the garage to when you retired?
Oh, the garage was finished. It was finished. It was finished when I retired.
Did you have the lift in there at that point?
I'd put that in. One of the deputies helped me put that in. We went and picked it up at Virginia Beach and brought it back, and we put that in. The last car I built, the 37, I hadn't finished that yet. I took a motor out of that. It had a V8 Chevrolet 350 motor in it, and I wanted to put an LS over in it, which is technical. It's a little bit different, a whole lot harder to work on. But anyway, I put one of those in it, and I used to ride the motorcycle all the time, but a lot of my friends have died out, and my best friend died of cancer.
Yeah.
Kind of killed it. I hadn't rode it one time last year, so I don't ride it anymore like I used to. But
So you get to work on your trucks, you get to apply that. How does that compare to when you're as a sheriff? All the things that you see that need to get done. I think one of the hardest things for you was like delegating? Because you got so used to doing it yourself. So
Yeah,
how
it was hard. It was hard to tell other people to go and plus the vision you have, you want everybody to have the same vision you have, and you want it to be done right. You know, and that was a big thing. I had a project. I'd tell you to do it, and you'd go do it. You know,
Right.
and you had the determination to do it right. You was going to get it done, and you did. And I mean, I'm not.
Yeah, but I
sure
pissed a lot of
about you.
people off doing it.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
A lot of people. I don't know what the word. I don't know if it's jealous. I don't know what it
Feelings.
is. But you.
It's feelings.
huh?
It's feelings. It's
Yeah, I
not.
know,
It's not dedication to a mission. It's
yeah,
feelings.
I know, and,
Hurt your feelings.
Sheriff Brown used to tell me about you all the time too, and he had he still has a lot of praise for you all the time.
He gave me a lot of months off without pay.
Yeah,
but I earned them.
But
I
I was gonna say when
I've earned them.
You done it when you messed up with me, and I did the same thing to you. You took it. You said, "Hey, I did it," and that means a lot, son.
Yeah.
You know, you got to treat everybody the same, and you got to do that, and that meant a lot. You know, when you got punished for me.
Oh, I got punished a lot.
Yeah.
I mean,
I know you did. I mean,
but I earned it.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, it wasn't,
but you made a mistake, and you owned it.
Right.
You know, and if everybody would do that, it'd be a whole lot easier place to do.
So talk about so when you have a vision, like I think what's really hard is going from the ranks where like I think that's one of the first things you told me when I got promoted. You told me you really don't have any friends anymore in this department.
Well, everybody, when you became sheriff, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
People think you're going to give them something, not people, your employees. If they were great friends with you, they think they can get by with stuff.
And they can do whatever they want.
Yeah, they can do what they want to do. And, we had rules and plus you want to, I always thought it was real important to recognize people at their achievements. Before I became sheriff, if you got promoted, you didn't know about it. We had a little room. We had little drop-down boxes where our papers were in and our stuff was the deputy's room. And, of course, we had the former sheriff fixed this for us, but we had a nice building and nice offices. Each deputy had a little room to go in. There's four different cubicles there, and the lieutenants. And you had, your own space. Well, you didn't have that when I was there. But I remember when we had promotions, people got promoted and all, you didn't know about it. You look in your box, congratulations, so-and-so on your promotion to sergeant, and you see your lapels inside the box.
That's how you knew you got promoted.
Yeah. And, I mean, we recognized that. I wanted to have it a thing where your wife could come, or your children could come, and pin those pins on your shirt. Meant something. You had a picture with the sheriff or whoever there beside you, and we could have the community of families there to recognize you. And that was one of the big things I think we did too, to try to make it better. And we did it for quite a while. I've heard. I don't think they do it anymore, but anyway.
Well, let's talk. I think one of the things that I would just like to say to you is you are by very definition of what you do is a very humble servant. You feed people. You do all these different things. I think about all the service that you shop with the cop. You were out there. We won't go into what happens when somebody says something nasty to them. We won't go into that, but it does make you. It made you mad.
It irritates. Yes, it does. It irritates. But I feel like it. I do that now.
I know you do.
I don't change that now because I'm not the sheriff.
But you have always been a servant. And so what do you think about these people that are in leadership that are there to help themselves instead of
I did fundraisers for former colleagues that I work with and they did. But I had stage 4 colon cancer.
Okay.
Back when I was a lot younger, and they did a fundraiser for me. Friends did. And I'll never forget that. And they raised me, I think it was probably $18,000, something like that, dollars. And when I come out, I didn't have any copay. I paid it all off.
Okay.
I was able to pay that bill off, and I was a young deputy, had kids, 2 kids and whatever. I wasn't full of money. Back then we didn't make nothing. I went to work in 1984. My salary, 1985. No, 84.
Mm-hmm.
$11,790 a year is my salary.
And that was probably one check as sheriff.
Oh no, it won't that much. I tell you what, but it did get a lot better. It was a lot better, But and that was one of the things that sheriff. I went to the board and I said, we got to do better. We got to do better. These guys on welfare. Some of them on welfare and they don't have any money. And
I remember
I was
didn't you you had just recovered from your hip surgery when you came in and asked for those records?
Oh, I just had my hip replaced on Friday, and my girl went crazy. Of course, you don't supposed to be in. It was wintertime, it was February, and I got one of the deputies come get me, and I took a walker, and it like to kill me to walk out of that house and walk out and go to that board meeting that night and ask for more money for our deputies to get salaries, and we did. They were good.
Well, I think when we left, it's probably one of the higher to pay departments.
We
around
were.
Mm-hmm. And that was unheard of, and that was you.
Well, that was the board was really good to us at first, and then that's politics too. When you get on the bad side of politics, and people ask you to endorse them, and you wouldn't endorse them because of things they had said about you, and it turned to war then too. I knew I couldn't get anything anymore.
But how does that make you feel? Like from your standpoint, I feel like you're very ethical in what you do, and you have a reputation. I feel like a lot of people that are in politics, including some of the people you just mentioned, it doesn't matter if somebody says something ugly about them because they know they're unethical.
Well, I look at things like that. I don't want to get at that part, but the board people have to run on one precinct, basically, in their precinct they live in to win.
Mm-hmm.
As a sheriff or the Commonwealth Attorney, I want every single precinct, both times.
Yep.
And I'm not bragging. I'm very humble to that.
But you
live up to supposed to be the standards that you say you're gonna be, and that's I wish all of our politicians would do that from the top to the bottom. Just don't forget where you come from. Treat everybody the same.
Right, but what is it? I mean, like honestly, what does it feel like when you know the truth, and you know your ethics, and you know what you've done, to hear somebody lie about you like they have?
Well, it hurts. It hurts. But they're politicians.
No,
and that's what they are.
Is that really an out for somebody that because you're a politician you don't have to be honest?
But it's all about integrity, Juette.
Yeah,
it's all about telling the truth.
They can't. Who holds them accountable?
No, we should.
No, I agree.
We should. The citizens should. But that's where they don't. They're not held. They should be in jail themselves. They should be in jail. Should have been convicted, but that's just the way things are, And I'm not out there to throw stones. I did my time. I've done. I'm thankful, very humble to the citizens that gave me the opportunity to do it. And
well, I would like to be. I'm probably not the first one to tell you this, but congratulate the fact that you made the commitment. You assigned Chris Persons to that case, and as a result of your efforts, even though there was mistakes made throughout, you still were on the right end of doing it the right way.
I was very excited and thankful.
Yeah,
prayed a lot of nights about that case.
Yeah,
but he is a wonderful individual. I tell you what, I'm so thankful the Lord sent him my way.
Yeah,
and the rest of them. And the rest of the guys and ladies that work with him, Clay's dedication to making it help it get fixed too, and it was a big thing. But thank God above that we were able to hold him accountable.
So it had to feel good. It has to feel good every time.
It took a lot off my shoulders, man. It really did.
So you could go out. So now that that's all done, do you feel like you can move past it and have your head held high?
Oh, I'm done. I held my head high anyway, but it does help. It does, knowing that all the things that people were saying that wasn't true, and I kept telling them it'll come out in the end when the trial. You'll see what really happened.
And I think that's what's crazy about it is it really hadn't come out. Even though they had a live trial,
but then the media, they gonna report what they want to report. They put things in there that they want the people to push forward, and That's like politicians do to try to get somebody elected. They do the same thing, don't they?
Yeah.
They do the exact same thing. They don't say everything, and they'll cut speeches and show parts that like if I messed up, they would cut that and show the bad part when I messed up and not the rest of it. It's just, I am who I am. I just, I hadn't changed.
I think for you, I think it has to be a huge weight to know that even though you got blamed for everything and had to keep your mouth closed about it and did the right thing, didn't put stories that weren't true out there, as a result of your patience, resiliency, and your decision to put the best of the best on the case, and the work of the Commonwealth's Attorney's Office.
Oh, absolutely. The Commonwealth Attorney, not because Lyle is who he is, he's an exceptional young man. He's very smart, and Amber is too. I mean, they both worked hard and tirelessly on that case.
In spite of a lot of people.
Right. I know the weeks coming up to that trial, I didn't stay involved in it, but I know in talking to my family, he wasn't there nights. He was gone and leaving in the mornings at 5 in the morning. And he was working very hard on that case.
Well, they had to work in spite of the efforts of other people.
Yeah. And I think that's the bad part. You want somebody to be a Commonwealth Attorney that doesn't have any law enforcement experience at all as far as criminal casing. I mean, it's crazy.
It's just control. That's
all what it is. That's all it is. And if you got that, you got the whole county. It's just. But thank God we got people like that. And the good Lord will see through all of it in the end. There's always going to be trials and tribulations about everything. But in the end, God's still in control.
Yes, he is. Well, that's a good spot to end with. And like I said, I really appreciate you taking the time. I appreciate the fact that you gave me an opportunity to come to work for you.
Well, I'm glad you came. You've done a good job for me. You've always been a hard worker, son. And I'm just glad you're going on with your life. And you finally found you a good person to live life with.
Well, she's exceptional. She really is.
She is.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you, son.